All right, it's time to talk Rutgers football on the Rutgers Football Report following another blowout loss, this time to the Wisconsin Badgers, as Rutgers turns their attention this week to Indiana. And this was the game that we kind of thought anyway when we talked last week that Rutgers was going to have to get if they were going to have any chance at a bowl. So this is pretty much it. If Rutgers can beat Indiana, they'll be one win shy of a bowl with a couple of games left, including a home tilt with Maryland. If they cannot beat Indiana, you could pretty much say that's it for the 2021 season. So that was pretty ugly on Saturday. Ryan Dunleavy joining me, of course.
I've covered more than my share of ugly Rutgers losses in my life, more than I care to remember. I've seen, 77-0 and 80-7 and 50-something to 0, and I've seen them all. If you can pick a score out of a hat, I've seen it. But that was right up there, I would say, right? Because this team's supposed to be better than some of those teams, because Wisconsin is not a team that's built to score 52 points. If you told me Rutgers lost 28-0, I'd say, okay, that's Wisconsin football. But 52-3, they were actually in the third quarter basically just trying to say, okay, this game's over. Let's get across the finish line with no injuries. And they had 200-something yards in just the third quarter alone. So even when they took the foot off the gas, they were still ramming it down Rutgers' throat. So total mismatch. To me, it was the most alarming loss of the season. I know they lost to Northwestern, who they should have beat, but this was the most like, whoa, they have a long way. I know they got crushed by Ohio State. I expect them to get crushed by Ohio State. I told you once, I don't know if they'll beat Ohio State in my lifetime. You laughed. I don't know if they'll beat them in my whole lifetime. Wisconsin, this should not be that. That was an alarming loss.
Yeah, this should have been something like a bad 31-3 loss, but not 52-3. I mean, that's
31-3 was halftime.
It makes you. And here's the thing too. In my opinion, I think it shows you. It'd be a strange week for me to say this, how good a coach Greg Schiano is. Because we witnessed during the Chris Ash era the worst of the worst. It was going back to the pre-Schiano days, the Chris Ash era. And when you're playing that bad, you don't switch overnight. It just doesn't happen just by bringing a coach in. Doesn't happen like that, especially when you're not going to use a whole ton of freshmen. Oh, yeah, we used a couple of transfers, and they helped us out, including Vedral and a couple of freshmen. But the depth is where they're getting destroyed, which is why you're seeing the scores the way they are. And that's why it just gives you those bad memories again of just what happened just not too long ago. Because the team is just not anywhere close to where they need to be personnel-wise.
Correct. That's especially on the offensive line and in the defensive line, other than Julius Turner, and really going back to 1890, the Big Ten has been won at the line of scrimmage, and they don't have the horses.
Yep. And it's great to see, and I'll talk more about that in the coming weeks, and maybe after the season for sure, with Richie Schnyderite about the whole recruiting process. But just reading into it, they're doing a tremendous job for the first time that I could remember ever, as far as recruiting on the offensive line. I mean, there are so many players that Schiano has recruited on the offensive line that are 3- and 4-star recruits. So it just shows you that he knows now what he needs to do. It's different recruiting from what he was pre-Big Ten. Now he knows for sure, if I'm going to compete with these guys, 1/3 of my recruiting class has got to be offensive and defensive linemen. So, they're coming.
Totally.
It's just going to take a while. So
totally, we shouldn't spend much more time on Wisconsin.
No,
people are tired. People are tired of Wisconsin.
Indiana is a winnable game, and there's reasons why. First of all, they cannot. They're done. They can't go bowling.
They're the most disappointing team in the country. They came into the season ranked top 20, I think, maybe just outside 20. They were ranked for sure, and they're 2-7. To me, they are the most disappointing team in the country because they were supposed to be maybe the second best team in the Big Ten East, and obviously Michigan State has taken a step forward. Michigan has returned to kind of where Michigan is, that good but not great level. Penn State got off to a great start, has slipped. There was an opportunity here for Indiana, and they squandered it this year. No, and any Rutgers fan will tell you those opportunities for a program like Rutgers, Indiana, Maryland to be really good, they only come maybe once in a decade.
And Phil Steele in his magazine had Indiana ahead of Michigan. So and that wasn't really too big of a surprise considering what happened last year.
Yeah.
So, but look, Indiana is definitely, even though they've got injuries at quarterback, they are still definitely personnel-wise a better team than Rutgers right now. That's why, as bad as their season has been, they're a 7-point favorite at home. This is not Rutgers going to Illinois as a 2-point road favorite or Northwestern as a 3-point road favorite. Rutgers, after winning the Illinois game, after Illinois beats Penn State and sandwiches a Penn State-Minnesota win with losing to Rutgers at home, this is Rutgers going to Indiana, and they're a 7-point dog because Indiana still has a better team. But, like I was saying at the beginning, how will Indiana approach this game psychologically? We've beaten this team before. We've beaten them, I think, 5 straight times. 76-0 in the last 2 home games against Rutgers. We have nothing to prove against this team. Maybe we'll start the freshman quarterback for his 3rd straight start. That's why Rutgers they have got to take advantage of this potential situation that they have here. And I think if they can get off to some sort of a good first half, like they did not against Northwestern, but did against Illinois, then they'll have a shot.
I agree with you. I think that's their best shot. Look, Rutgers, I was covering Rutgers when they joined the Big Ten, and it was laughable to me that they were put behind Indiana every year in the preseason polls. And sure enough, they beat Indiana the first 2 years they were in the conference. And I said, see, Indiana stinks. This is just bias against Rutgers. It's the new team. Oh, they don't have the Big Ten pedigree. They're better. They're more talented. They have better players. They're better coached. They're better than Indiana. And the first 2 years, I was right. And it looks like they've lost 5 in a row since then. And that, to me, is unacceptable. Like, any path to Rutgers being good in the Big Ten or even respectable in the Big Ten, you have to consistently be better than Indiana. Indiana is a basketball school. It wants to be a basketball school. Football's kind of an afterthought. Tom Allen's the coach. He's done a nice job there. He's not, Urban Meyer. So, they shouldn't be They shouldn't be out recruiting Rutgers every year. They have been out recruiting Rutgers. So quite simply, this is a game where Rutgers, any step to respectability is you have to raise your program to a level where it is consistently better than Indiana, not even with, better than Indiana. And that starts, I think, with in this game when they're dead, they have nothing to play for, and you have something to play for. Go out there and beat them.
Now, Noah has been banged up for the last 4 games. He gets hurt almost every game. And so far it appears, just from what we're hearing, it sounds like he's going to play. Sounds like he's going to be okay. Unfortunately, Aaron Cruikshank, that was so terrible to see, is he comes back, and it's not even the same injury, so I was happy to hear that. It would have devastated me if I would have heard that it was the same injury, and that's because it wasn't the shoulder. But still, to have him go down was, especially against his former team, that was sad to see. He may have 2 years of eligibility remaining. Now that he's coming off an injury, I thought a couple of weeks ago before his injury that there was a good chance he was going to leave. Now I don't think he's going to. I don't think he can leave. I think he's got to come back again, and he may be here for another couple of years. But it's just sad to see Cruikshank leave, get injured, and that will also be a big issue, as it has been since he's been out for the return game. They've gotten nothing out of the return game since his injury.
Correct. Between Cruikshank and Adam Korsak, Rutgers could make a case that they could, make up 3 points per game on special teams, something like that. And now they can't do that with just Korsak.
So we'll see. Vedral looks good to go. Let me ask you. All right, we've Vedral's been hurt. We've seen Simon come in, and we've seen I don't even remember his name anymore because I block it out.
Snyder,
because they're both bad. So if Vedral gets hurt and he's out of the game, and it's second quarter, Rutgers tied, they're in the game, whatever. Who comes in?
Yes, I would. I mean, who will come in? Probably Snyder or Simon, but who should come in? Gavin Wimsatt.
You really do believe that he would not put Wimsatt in?
I do.
Interesting.
Yep, okay. I do. But that's who should come in at this point. Yes.
Yeah.
I was all for holding him off. I've argued with you from September on that he should be held off. Now that he played the one snap, now that you're talking about in the middle of a game situation, you're not asking him for 4 quarters. Yes, I would. Yes, I would play him. Yes, you have everything to gain and nothing to lose in this game. Yeah, it's not a game he should get, the beaten and battered like he would against Ohio State or
Penn State next week. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because that's the thing you don't want to do is say, all right, we're going to start Gavin Wimsatt against Penn State this week.
Right.
Yeah. You do not want to do that. You don't want Penn State
and you're a situation where it's a tie game in the second quarter and Vedral's on the bench. Yes, I would put Wimsatt in the game.
Yeah, and this is because nobody has seen any film on Wimsatt except for one play, and you do not want to give the college team an opportunity to check out his high school film and let's see how we have to attack this guy. Best way is if he comes in. Look, we don't want to see Vedral get hurt, but he always gets hurt, so it's something you have to bring up. Here's interesting trends. Rutgers, since Greg Schiano's return, they're 4-2 straight up, 6-0 against the spread as a road dog. Interesting. So, and of course that includes the Michigan game that they almost won. So this is a good spot. I actually like Rutgers this week. I like the 7. I think they have a chance to win this game. I just can't imagine Indiana's going to be up for this game. Look, me saying they're not going to be up for this game doesn't mean that they're not going to have fun and it's football and there's a ton of kids, fighting for playing time. They're going to try. It's just that they're not psychologically looking at this. Hey, we have to really be, because this is so important because we have to think about a bowl or a division title. So that will not be there mentally for Indiana, and you have to take advantage of that because Rutgers players will be in that frame of mind, and I think they might be able to take advantage of it. I think Rutgers is a decent play this week. I hope I don't have pie in my face on Saturday. First time I've said it this year with Rutgers. First time I'm going to actually go on board with Rutgers in this type of spot.
I don't think they'll get blown out, but I don't like them in the game. I'd pick something like 28-14 Indiana, something like that.
Yeah, that would be. I would be disappointed with that. I wouldn't want to see that. That would be bad. Indiana's got 1 win against a FBS team this year. You know who that is? No, it's Western Kentucky, and that's it. That's their FBS win.
But they might get their quarterback back, Michael Penix or whatever, the kid who.
From the coach speak, he says he's. It sounds like Tuttle is further along than Penix. Both of them are banged up. And he says we'll have a few guys available, which means that I think he means McCulley and maybe Tuttle.
Okay.
So I would be kind of surprised if Penix wasn't there.
That's an advantage for Rutgers because they would struggle against the way Penix plays.
And Penix has been part of the disappointment for Indiana this year.
Yeah, but the way he plays would give them trouble.
No question. No question. You don't want to see Penix when you can get Tuttle, who has a 2-3 ratio and a 52% accuracy rate. And McCulley's only 45%, by the way, even though he hasn't thrown a pick yet. That's pretty bad. Rutgers is 113th offensively. Indiana is 119th.
Jeez.
And the advantage Rutgers has, even though this advantage is starting to go away, since early in the season. Rutgers is still 56th in turnover margin. Indiana is 103rd. So Rutgers definitely has to win, because that's how you win these games. If you're Rutgers in this type of situation, you have to win the turnover battle. So,
yep.
All right. So again, next week it's Penn State, and Clifford and the Nittany Lions are taking on Michigan this week. Now, Clifford looked a little healthier last week, and I knew this was going to happen. I knew it was going to take him a few weeks to get healthier. So he's getting healthier and healthier. So he's going to be like 100% healthy next week for Rutgers. And you know what that means. And then it's off to Maryland. So next week when we talk, it's about whether Rutgers has a realistic chance with one of the last two games left to go bowling.
Correct. And I'll tell some Penn State stories.
All right.
So.
I'm looking forward to it. Penn State. We'd like it to be a rivalry, but we have to start winning some football games.
God knows I wrote enough stories over the years about it becoming a rivalry.
Yeah.
But yes, Rutgers has to do its part.
Okay, Ryan, appreciate it. We'll talk to you again next week.
Sounds good. Thanks.